Have you ever seen the movies about history where you see all these warriors standing against a lot of enemy just ready to kill all of them, even if it's mean that they're going to die? And all the time we hear they say God is with us, or the Odin is with us, or all these kind of role models or examples in the history that just with you in the war and in something important. But what kind of meaning does the role models, the kind of examples have for our life? You see, when we see someone that is very successful, for example, if nowadays we see Andrew Tate, right? All over the social media, you're going to see one video that is going to be about Andrew Tate, and you see this guy have the 30 cars and have a big house in Romania, and he lives in Dubai. I don't know where he is right now, and he does all these things, and all he talk about is that you need to have money, and the way he did it was all about hard working and discipline. You see him all the time talking about that how much he worked for him until the webcam company that he wanted to start out, how it got to work. So he really giving you a kind of role model, inspiration, or more like, if you know, many people also like Cristiano Ronaldo because they say he's the hardworking guy, the guy who dedicated his life to football/soccer, or David Goggins, who dedicated his life to be Navy SEALs and ran really over 100 miles and achieved so many big titles as pull-ups, records, and running a marathon, all this kind of shit. But the only time we can accept these role models is when we accept ourselves. Guys, if you are arrogant and you don't want to listen to anyone, and you hear The Rock say, I wake up 5 a.m. every day and I do my cardio, I do all this, that, you somehow will say, oh, he's just lucky, right? You will always just find some stupid excuses that guy, he was lucky, that guy, he this, he just a robot, and this guy, he's just from a whole nother universe. It just is excuses, and excuses. When David Goggins was normal, David Goggins before he was this guy that we see today, he was a guy that got beaten up from his dad, and he really came from this abusive family where the dad hit his mom and him and his brother, and we always hear that he was traumatized and he gained a lot of weight. But the only time he did all this thing and he finally break through was to accept himself. He knew that if he didn't accept himself and didn't move his ass to get a point and lose weight and join the Navy SEALs, he won't be here right now. He won't be the motivational guy, the inspiration, the book writer. Actually came out with another book. Remember to check it out, guys. His books is awesome, alright? And you see, all the time he just wanted to get better. He knew that he came from this bad place, and the bad place wasn't there to stop him anymore, because he accepted it and said, that's fine. I had this in my past. I don't want to think about it anymore. I don't want to be depressed and all this kind of traumatized psychology things. He said, alright, I'm going to put it aside. That's the past. I can't do anything about it anymore. And he wanted to live in the present. They live in the present and they have the future. The past is done. You can't do anything about it. It's going to be there forever. But the only thing that you can do right now is to change the future. And that's why its history is so important, because when you learn history and when you learn what happened for many years ago, you can use the mistakes that happened for many years ago to fix them and use it on your own power, alright? So don't use it against yourself. That's the point. And he wasn't the only one. The Rock had the same problem. Andrew Tate had the same problem too. Tristan Tate had the same problem. And there's so many more. If you just by searching on the internet, you can see many people who are on the social media, you know, YouTubers. Some examples could be Markiplier. I really like that guy. He came from a pretty bad life. He was depressed, he was sad, and nothing worked for him until he started making videos. And before I made this YouTube channel for about 1 year ago, I really got in a bad situation because the gym was locked down in my country and we didn't have any access to something productive. And I didn't read the books somehow. Well, I read actually some books, but it wasn't about improvement. I really like Final Freddy. I'm kind of geek, you know. So I really like to read about Five Nights at Freddy history, about what is actually happening in the story. But anyway, the point is that I was pretty lazy at that time. I didn't do anything. I was always on the social media. I was always watching YouTube videos, always watching TV shows. And again, it's okay to watch TV shows and YouTube videos. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do any of this, but remember, sometimes you need to watch a little bit less when you did for maybe a year ago or yesterday. Because if you're always sitting there and watching Netflix 5 hours a day, you're not going to do anything about your life. You really need to come out of the comfort zone and really need to do something different. It's pretty hard if you don't have a goal and if you don't have this example that I want to talk about. And it's really important to remember that you can find your example from everywhere. And if you look at your bloodline, you can see your grandfather was maybe in the World War II, where he was fighting against, I don't know, the Nazis or all these guys. I don't know where you are from that are watching this video, but you know what I mean by that. He fought through wars, the Vietnam wars and all this kind of shit. So you can be born here and be lazy as fuck. That's not acceptable. You need to make him proud. You need to somehow honor him by do something that he did for many years ago. He didn't want to go in wars. Do you think that wars is fun? Maybe on Call of Duty and Battlefield, but not in real life, trust me. It's not going to be fun at all. Imagine you know that's not going to be a gulag anymore. You're not going to respawn. So if you die, yeah, you did. And another one example that I really like, that really inspired me to be the person that I am right now on this video, is the history. By reading the history of your country from many years ago, about who was on had the crown and who is the philosophers. If it's about Roman Empire, it can also be something else. It doesn't have to be Roman Empire, but it's just an example, because right now, or about 2 weeks ago, I read a book about this Marcus Aurelius that I also made a video about his book that is called Meditations. And this guy, he's a Greek philosopher that talked about all these things that happen in life, all from discipline and all from love and all for caring for each other. So when you read this, you somehow want to honor this guy by be this guy. And by that I mean really wake up early and do your training, do something productive that really can improve your future. Because guys, we are in this age right now. Hopefully if you are around my age, I'm 19 years old. We are in this age right now that is all about creating your future. We got a long future ahead of us, and if we don't do something about it today, we're not going to fix it in many other years, alright? Which means that it's not time for you are allowed to party. Yeah, I know, life is important, you need to have fun. I'm not saying that you don't need to have fun, you need to sit on your ass and you just need to read or do something productive. But it's all about balancing, and you need to balance the work a little bit more than you do usually on Netflix and on drinking and partying, alright? So you really need to create your life. It's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard. I have it really hard every day by waking up early, or actually these last recent days I haven't wake up kind of early. There is some times that I wake up about 4 a.m. just to get up and start training at 5 a.m. and all these kind of productive things that I do. And you really need to understand that if it's hard right now, it's going to be easy in the future. And yeah, I know maybe many people, the teachers, the parents, all people say that you need to have fun right now, and later on you can start to have a job. It's fair, but if you do all this thing now by getting good body and eating healthy, and you learn something, trust me, it's going to help you for the future. Because the people who train in a young age, they will have a better physique in the future. No matter if it's about football or it's bodybuilding or it's kickboxing, boxing, all this kind of shit, you know, all this kind of sports. It's going to always improve the body when it gets older. You somehow need to be the wine. The red wine who started to get older and older, it's going to taste better, right? They always say the old wine is the popular one, the old wine is the expensive one, and you need to be the expensive wine, right? You don't want to be some bullshit factory wine that you don't even know where it came from. You want to be the detailed and the high quality wine in the future. And the only thing you could do to be that quality wine is to start now, today, with me.